see if we're live. Are we live? Hey, look, there's a little sign that says you are live.
Yeah, and we have something on the screen too.
Oops, sorry. There we are.
Hey, where'd you guys go? Oh, here we are.
Well, where is everybody? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday night. It is Wednesday, right?
I think
it's
so.
Wednesday. Okay, it is Wednesday. Okay, so we have been it's been a crazy day for us here because we're putting in all new flooring. If you guys, if you guys remember, from months ago when we had a flood in our house, we're just now getting the flooring replaced, and so it has been so loud. They're I don't even know what they're doing to make it this loud, but the walls are rocking.
Guess what? I wasn't here though.
And he wasn't even here for it. He missed it because he was out at showings.
Actually,
no, it wasn't a showing. It was a closing.
And inspection.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Talking to sales consultants and all that kind of fun stuff.
Okay, so he was at a closing, and then he was at a pre-pour inspection, and then after that, then you're talking to sales consultants.
Yeah,
smoozing the sales consultants. That's what he does. He just stops by at these offices. Is that what you did? You just stopped by?
There were some things I had to figure out, but yeah. So.
He just goes by and talks to him.
Hello, Rhonda.
Oh, hello, Rhonda. Hello, Wendy and Dale. Okay, so Rhonda is here checking in. Hey. Hello. So we wanted to get on here today and talk about the big change that happened this week. Big change and what it is. I think for some people that weren't tuned in, they don't even know that this was happening.
Yeah.
And so they're blindsided. They're like, what? But the big thing is that Saturday, or technically Monday, Monday's the business day, the big NAR settlement changes kicked in. Right. So all of a sudden, buyers are calling up on Zillow, right? Like they always have. And they're thinking they're going to be able to just go, view the house. And the agent tells them, I can't even open the door for you, unless it's the listing agent. But the buyer's agent, because usually it's on Zillow and it's a different different person. And they're like, I can't even open the door for you without you signing an agreement. Right. And so, the first person they call, they're like, what kind of idiot do you think I am? Click. Because they're like, this person's just trying to sell me a bag of goods, telling me I got to sign first. And then they call 3 more people and they get told the same thing. Oh, by the way, you have to sign an agreement before I can open the door for you. Now for us personally, it's no big change because we've always done agreements. We've never worked without buyer representation agreements. So for us, this is not a big change, but
because we represent you.
We are team you. That's what I always tell the buyers. I'm like, I am team you. Anyway, so all of a sudden, all right, buying just got a lot more complicated. Okay. A lot more complicated because people who treated it like going to the grocery store, hey, I'm going to go check this out, or I'm just going to go shopping, buy a new outfit. Yeah. Window shopping. They can't do that anymore. It requires a different level of commitment unless, there are some exceptions, right? You can go to an open house, right? You can go to a model home, and look at that. And also the listing agent can show you as well. So they just won't represent you. So there are options, but you're okay, if I want someone to represent my best interests, now this is more difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I read, and it's not just, Texas or anything either. I got to read this article to you guys. This is about pretty much what's going on. Confusion reigns on eve of real estate commission changes. So this was written right before it happened. You can see right here, Thursday, August 1st was when it was happening. A landmark legal settlement governing real estate commissions takes effect in a matter of days. So where we are right now, it's already taken effect.
Matter of days.
Yeah, we're past the matter of days. Nevertheless, Nicholas Rosen of Castro Valley is still having a hard time getting agents to explain what will happen when he lists his home for sale next fall. At this point, I have more questions than answers. I'm not sure how the settlement will affect me, said Rosen, 38, an attorney. I wanted to ask what would be in place of that traditional fee. Would it be a negotiated rate? Would it be a flat fee? And his agent, she really couldn't answer. Wow. Questions clearly outnumber answers as realtors race to implement the biggest revision in decades to their compensation system. And can I just say the changes in forms is mind-boggling. I mean, we attended a class on, was it Monday?
Mm-hmm.
We're just walking all through the forms, and it was like, wow, every single form has changed. And they're like, there's all these different forms too.
No,
So
the added forms, yeah.
Yeah, they've added all these forms. And so, I mean, like when it says, confusion reigns, it makes sense because it is really confusing. It's confusing for realtors because so much paperwork that's different. Anyway, okay, let me add the next one on here. Agents said it's going to take several months before buyers, sellers, and agents figure out how to operate under these new rules. And I want to tell you this, guys, in like every couple days, they revise the forms again. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
Like about the time.
Because they get questions about say that, well, maybe we should word it this way instead.
Yeah, about the time that we're figuring it out, right? Everybody's getting confidence. I understand the 24 this or whatever. They're like, oh, by the way, they revised it again, right? Because they are stumbling along on this. They're trying to figure out how to put it, and they're changing things. All right. Nothing in the settlement precludes the seller from offering a buyer broker compensation. It simply says those offers of compensation can no longer be advertised to MLSs. They can be advertised on brokers' websites. We can still put them on our signs, and they are. Yeah. It's a lot of chaos and a lot of confusion.
And we ask, and we can find out all that kind of good stuff.
A lot of chaos. A lot of confusion, said Tom Pelton, manager for Caldwell Banker. Agents must learn how to explain, this is true, new legalese to clients. In particular, they need to get buyers to understand why they now have to sign contracts. Okay, and so that's the big thing for buyers that have never had to do that before. Suddenly they're being told, yeah, you have to. If you want to use a buyer's agent, you actually have to sign this. And they're like,
it's always been a good idea to do it.
It really is.
There were just a lot of agents. There was only 30% of agents that actually did do that.
Is that not mind-boggling?
Crazy.
Like literally, I bet if we ran a poll right now of all our viewers, they're going to say, yeah, I never had to sign one.
Yeah.
Like we always did. Like that was just what we did. Yeah. We're like, you need to understand what it means to work with us. So let me just explain it completely. But yeah, so 30% had signed buyer representation agreements, and the other 70% are in for a rude awakening. Like, what is this? Agents must learn. Okay. Agents are going to be getting all these calls, texts, and emails about if their seller is willing to offer compensation on top of all the other communications. Yep, that's exactly what we have to do. So every time we have, and sometimes let's just say we're meeting with a client and we're showing maybe 6 different houses, right? We have to actually reach out to each of them and say, is buyer's agent compensation
I usually
offered?
Reach out to agents anyway. And it's like to kind of understand what they're trying to sell, and how they're representing their seller and such. But so it's just another question I've added. So
yeah, I bet most agents
most of them are like,
thorough.
And most of them are so far. Most of them have been like, yeah.
I'm not even sure. Like I get the feeling I'm not really sure if they know the difference. Like if you ask them, it's like they're like, yeah, we're offering it, and that's all they know to say. Actually,
Rhonda kind of asks a good question here about open houses. The thing is, it's not changing from the listing agent standpoint. They can show, they don't have to represent a buyer. Now, if they do there are some things that go into details. It's probably too much detail for this. That if an unrepresented buyers come in and they get to talking about about some
substantive
information about the house and offers and things like that, then then they have to do some things there. They have to or what they're saying, they should they need to probably show them some paperwork showing that they don't represent them.
Right. So
there'll still be open houses. I'm seeing tons of open houses. So
if you walk into a home and it's an open house and they tell you sign this thing saying I don't represent you, just don't be surprised, because that's kind of what the new requirement is, because obviously if they represent you, they have to do a representation agreement. Stop it. You're looking smarter than me. You're making me look bad. All right, let's see here now. Okay, so yes, we're calling you have to reach out to the agents. It's something Dale usually does anyway, but My wife and I are actively working with a real. I thought this part was funny. My wife and I are actively working with a realtor to sell our house and then another one to buy a house. And both of them are not too sure what the settlement could mean for us. Rosen said, they keep on saying, well, we'll get to it when it comes up. so that kind of summarizes the, this new information and the confusion that reigns in the midst of all these changes. I think the craziest thing is, that we do have to reach out to all the agents to find out, because our buyers need to know if a commission is being offered, like fully disclosed, no question, or if it's going to just be like you may have to negotiate it, or there probably are some sellers that are just going to say no. In Dallas, I would be surprised because sellers have a rough go of it right now. In fact, I mean, honestly, that's why it's so bad to have like confusion, because right now buyers could really take advantage of what's going on in the market. I mean, just in Dallas, like there's a lot to take advantage of there. In fact, let me read this article to you. This literally just came out. Like I was already working up my notes for this, and then like that showed up in my inbox, and I was like, oh, I got to add this. This is really good. This is good stuff. Is it a buyer's or seller's market for North Texas housing now? Here's the data. And of course, my face lit up when I saw the word data. Supply is way up. Prices dropped a little and sales are up. What comes next? Things are changing ever so slightly in the Dallas-Fort Worth housing market. July saw median home prices drop nearly 2% and sales jump nearly 5%. Year-over-year prices fell for the second straight month. Now, this I thought was just very compelling. A national real estate group estimates the 12-month price drop is one of the most substantial in the nation. Okay, so we're talking Dallas, most substantial of all of these other areas, most substantial in the entire nation. Okay, this comes after months of increasing inventory, and they're right. I mean, absolutely, we've seen inventory. There are hints that you think? I'm sorry, this is just so funny. There are hints that the market is looking better for buyers. Interest rates are continuing to drop, but all may not be as it seems. Okay, so then prices are still high, and there's concern that the supply bump could be coming from more expensive houses hitting the market. So what they're saying is that the more affordable ones aren't the ones necessarily that are coming down in price. I don't fully know if I agree with that, because I think it depends a lot on location.
Yeah.
Because I think I made a post on Facebook the other day. I was like, I cannot believe how many houses I'm seeing listed for under 300,000. Like that used to be like so unheard of, but I'm seeing them now. So I'm like seeing as we go through all these little things, I'm like, wow, the market really is changing, which is okay. It's not a surprise that it's changing this time of year. No, it always changes this time of year.
Typical.
Yeah, it's typical. This is like a seasonal change that we want to take advantage of. Every year we see this peak in prices in June, and then we see everything drop off and drop and drop and drop until January. And then, around February, March, we start seeing ease up again. And that's like seasonality. But what's interesting this year is that we had a pretty soft summer. Okay, so we saw prices go up, but not to the extent that they usually do. It was a lot more subdued. So I'm calling it like a soft summer.
Soft summer.
And I will say this too, on the prices still high, some big reductions, but sometimes, they're still not coming down. That you would think that they would.
There's been some sellers that don't want to come down.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that.
Builders too. So.
All right, let's see here now. Is there more of this? Median price of a DFW home in July was $403,806. That's a 1.7% drop from last year. Real estate agency Remax reports that DFW had the second largest drop in home prices over the last year. However, its data differs from the MetroTex and Texas Real Estate Center's July report. Closings were up 4.6% over last July. Sounds like a good thing. According to the MetroTex report. Now, sales, this is a good point. Sales are a lagging indicator. Reflecting what was on the market 60 to 90 days earlier. So there's a lot of truth to that. Let's see here now. Active listings hit 29,300, up nearly 49% That's
That's
crazy.
a lot.
That's a lot from last year.
50% increase.
Yeah, I mean, a 50% increase. Months of housing inventory was 4 months, the highest since October of 2012. And guys, remember, as we're reading this, that when they're giving those numbers, that's MLS data. So that does not include all the
Yeah.
new construction.
Which,
So
in some ways, though, I guess so. I have to look back and see what it's up from, because inventory was kind of low
it's true.
in some of the previous years. So
Mhm.
yeah, so it's not like it's super crazy. We just have so much, because 4 months is not a ton of inventory, honestly.
But if you think 4 months
But-
plus new construction,
Yeah,
then it is.
yeah.
So let's see here now. Months of housing inventory. I think this really speaks volumes. I think this is very helpful because you can see when it was its highest, right? But then you can see, you know, how low it
Mhm.
was. And then, so you're right. I mean, like to the extent that you're like, well, how low was it? Well, it's pretty
Right.
low. So a 50% increase. We're still not, you know, obviously the highest it ever was. What was the highest? Oh my goodness, I can totally not read that slide.
Is that close to 8 months? It's like 7.5.
Well, so what does this say right here? January 2002, January. Oh, that makes sense. It was right during the big boom,
2008.
the mortgage meltdown. That would
Oh.
make sense why there was so much inventory. So you just, yeah,
10. Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. With the recent supply increase, Long said it feels like a more balanced housing market. Inventory has not yet hit the 5 or 6 month mark that typically signals balance. And that's where you're going to find me disagreeing a little bit, because I think when you add in new construction,
Yeah.
you know, that we're more than balanced, but they always go off the MLS data. So when you read these things, guys,
Yeah,
just keep that in
that's
mind.
true.
Anytime you hear about month supply, right, just keep in mind that there's a lot more than you realize. However, he said buyers appear to have more power in most of his recent transactions. Amen. Yeah. Some buyers who put their
Power to the buyers.
power to the buyers. Oh my goodness.
funny.
Some buyers who put their housing search on hold last year have returned to the market. And I will say too, like we've had quite a few that say they'll wait till the fall
Mhm.
and then they'll jump in.
Well, and some are still saying they're waiting, and I think you have to be careful about waiting.
Mhm.
I mean, yes, seasonality, you'd probably go into December or January being your lowest part, but it doesn't. If rates continue to come down, maybe it won't be as low of a.
I'm kind of wondering about
I think
that.
they are rate. Some prices are definitely already come down, so you just kind of have to look in the areas and see. So
Yeah, yeah. And did you guys all hear about the big jobs report release?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
That
that's
was
kind of a
huge.
game changer, I think. You read about it. Why don't you tell them about it?
They're saying that
I'm gonna
800.
drink.
So you know how every month they have the BLS jobs report come out, and then a few weeks later they have revisions to it and everything. And there are several macro pundits and people that know what they're talking about, you know, that go by the trends over and data. They do a lot of data too, that have been saying that all these jobs reports have been wrong, you know, forever. And of course, the main media and stuff is always jumping on them and stuff, giving them bad comments and everything. But they released the annual one, and they found out that it was like 808. They made a 818,000
Yeah.
change, you know, number of jobs changed to it, which is basically a third of what they were saying. So
Was it jobs lost or fewer jobs created?
fewer jobs created, yeah, fewer
Okay.
jobs. And so now we're seeing how much the jobs numbers really, how bad it really has been, and that we have been really in a recession for a bit, you know, stuff. And
I know we know people that have been affected by
Yeah.
layoffs.
so
and
this is going to be, I mean, it's going to be a big deal. So it may, but what that usually means is during those times, then usually trends, rates usually come down. Mortgage rates usually come down
Right.
at those times. So
Right.
so it could be. I mean, so
That's
it may-
the thing, is that like for realtors, a recession generally means real estate's going to do better
Mhm.
because real estate is so, you know, completely directly impacted by interest rates.
Mhm.
And during a recession, interest rates go down. So,
Yeah.
all right. So I thought this was interesting. I think the power has kind of changed a little bit.
Just real quick on the
Oh,
rates thing. If rates do come down, and they come down substantially, then prices will go up.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there could be some reasons why, but for the most part, prices will go up if rates
Because-
continue to come down.
Because buying power.
Yeah.
I don't
There'll
know
be more
though,
bu-
like if people,
Depends on if we don't get as many buyers because it's the seasonal time or not. But
that's
we'll
what
have
I
to see.
think. Yeah. I
So,
think because of seasonality, I'm
but I
wondering.
do know that
Um,
all the builders I spoke to told me if rates come down, then they're raising prices.
whose side are they on anyway? No, they're on their own side.
Of course they are.
All right. Okay. I think the power has kind of changed a little bit. He said, every offer I've seen is below listing price right now. Some parts of town have 50 to 60% more inventory. I think that's hurt sellers a lot. I'm going to show you guys some data in a minute too, where we can see that the percentage, the offers and what's closing. For Sariam Villapuram, a professor of finance and real estate at the University of Texas at Arlington, he said the supply bump hasn't mattered because it hasn't translated into larger shifts in prices or sales. I don't know. I'm not sure. What do you think? I don't know if I agree with that.
Some areas it has. I mean, there are definitely some areas where there's some high inventory and prices because houses are sitting forever, or whatever. So they're dropping prices, trying to get them sold.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that anywhere. If you're talking Texas in general, of course, it's going to be, by location, but even in the DFW area, it's definitely by location too.
Well, and a lot of our buyers are like really in tune with us on the hardcore negotiating. And one of them just ended up with like, what was it? 50,000, 52,000 in equity between the appraisal and the purchase price. Right. So that was an appraisal. It wasn't a subjective market analysis. Literally it was the appraisal. And she was like, am I reading these numbers right? And we're like, yeah, we negotiated and it was new construction, right?
Yeah.
Right. So $52,000 equity walking in the door. So, I mean, it's definitely that kind of market that you can have those kind of advantages. Depends on the location still. Yeah. I know because another one of our clients we've had encountered a few times that they're like, we've already gotten offers, right? So they're looking in a pre-owned home that's a lot more popular, or pre-owned home in areas that are more high demand, like Plano, so on.
Frisco.
Yeah. So I want to show you guys though, to the extent of what he's saying, I want to show you realistically what it looks like. Okay. So I'm going to bump this in and show you, I looked at each county. And I wanted to give you kind of the info on that for seeing. Let me see here now. Oh, okay, yeah. Can I see? Okay. So this is Denton County. All right, there's Denton County showing you that. And this is the prices that we saw. So median sales price down 1.4%. Sold to original list. Now this is what they were talking about. How he said he's seeing all of these prices below the market value, or below the list price. Yeah, you can see they're not getting their list price here. Okay, they're getting 97% of their list price. Okay, so nobody's getting 100% of what they list. Don't ever offer full, don't offer full price. Okay, that's down 1% month supply. Okay, and you would expect this to be up, right? And it is up 38.5%. So this is Denton County that we're talking about. Homes for sale, 31.2%. So we're seeing that it's up 31.2%, guys. I mean, that's pretty astonishing. All right, let's take a look at Collin County, okay? And if you're wondering, there's Collin County. So just check that out right there, okay? So we just looked at Denton County. Now this is Collin County. Median sales price is down 3.8%, okay? And again, you can see right here, again, nobody's closing at list price, right? I mean, this is an average, right? So I'm sure some are.
But that fairly high average. I mean, there's definitely
97%. So down 1.7%. Month supply in Collin County up 52%. Okay, so that's Collin County. Homes for sale, okay, up 58.7%, people. Okay, so you see how these kind of are correlating, but you also know what that guy said is like, we're not seeing a huge drop in prices given this much inventory. And he's right. It's not resulting in like, huge ones. All right, here's Tarrant County. Last week, I left this off my slides and somebody said they really wanted to see Tarrant County. So whoever that was, this one is for you. Okay, so there's Tarrant County. It's going to be on the west side. So you have Dallas County and Tarrant County. All right, in Tarrant County, prices are actually up. Median sales price up 2.7%. 97% sold to almost original list, right? Yeah. Down 0.8%. Month supply up 41.7%. Homes for sale up 35.9%. So you notice across the board, supply is up everywhere. So far, this is the only one that we've seen where the median sales price hasn't come down. Let's take a look at Dallas County. You can see Dallas County right there. All right, median sales price, percent of change, 0. Sold to original list. Again, we see like this 97% number is in all of them. Nobody's paying the full price. They're coming down, percent of change on this one's down 2%. Month supply is up 52%. Homes for sale are up 47%. So you guys starting to see the trend here. It's Rockwall County. If you're not sure where it is, there it is. Okay, Rockwall County. East. There it is. See that arrow? Okay, it's going to be on your east side. And I'm kind of a fan of Rockwall County because it's just got better prices than Collin County in the nicer areas, and it's still got A-rated schools. Is small.
Good shopping and restaurants.
Yeah. I mean, you got to cross the bridge. Yeah, it's got the lake, which is beautiful. Anyway, so Rockwall County. Oh, median sales price is up.
Wow.
Okay.
Maybe they like it too.
But look at the sold to original list.
So they're coming off the prices faster.
They're coming off the prices. Yeah, 95% sold to list. So the median sales price is up, but the sellers are accepting offers below the list price. Month supply up 50%. Homes for sale up 37.5%. Okay, so again, we're still seeing that inventory up. Okay, let's talk about Kaufman County. Most popular one we hear about in Kaufman County is Forney. There you go. There's Kaufman County. Okay, so we're talking about still on the east side, but south of Rockwall County. All right. Percent of change for median sales price down 7%. I think that's our largest one so far. Sold to original list, 94%. Wow, in Kaufman County. Oh my goodness, sellers are coming down 6% off of their list price. People don't go into Kaufman County and pay the full price. Negotiate. And that's down 2.2%. Wow, okay. Month supply is up 30%. Homes for sale is up 35.4%. Okay, so that's Kaufman County. Let's talk about Ellis County. Now, to me, Ellis County is just kind of undiscovered. Like I will say that most of our buyers that reach out to us, they don't really consider Ellis County. They don't think about it. I mean, we did have one over the weekend that was considering Waxahachie. Personally, when somebody reaches out to me about Ellis County, I'm kind of excited, right? Because we know all of the areas. And so it's just kind of fun to go south. Usually I would say for the most part, we're usually up north, Collin County, Rockwall County, Denton County. So it's always kind of fun and interesting when someone picks Ellis County. Okay. Percent of change, 0%. All right. 96% is your sold to original list price. Okay. So, again, I don't think we've seen any, like that article said, we haven't seen any sellers getting their list price. They're all coming in low. So make sure that you keep that in mind when you're making offers. Okay. And that's down 2%. Their month supply is up 40%, and their homes for sale is up 41.8%. So compelling data. Absolutely. Absolutely compelling data. And it's really exactly what we would expect as we work into, the fall. We would expect those prices to go down. But the inventory, usually this time of year, we're going to see inventory go down, right? To the same extent that people are not going to buy in the fall, and that's why price is down. They're not going to sell a whole lot. So that's interesting that we're still seeing inventory elevated. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I think, definitely. It's going to be, Yeah. I mean, there's lots of homes for buyers to look at out there for sure. So let's go look.
So to the extent that we've got buyers paralyzed by all these offensive changes and unexpected changes, we have a pretty decent market to contend with. It's probably not as low as it's going to get yet. Typically in January is when we see the bottom, right? And so those are the people that went under contract. I was talking to a buyer yesterday, and we were talking about when she was going to buy, and I was like, well, if you want the lowest price, Thanksgiving, Christmas. And she's like, I don't want to buy a house on Thanksgiving and Christmas. I was like, I don't blame you. Like, I wouldn't want to either. Like I wouldn't want to relocate everything in Christmas, and that's why you just see these amazing deals. So if you're not a big Christmas or Thanksgiving person, I mean, man, that's a great time. Last year, we were so busy during that time because we had a lot of buyers that took our advice. I mean, we were just negotiating machines, man. And it was exciting to see all the deals we got as a result of it. So Yeah, it was very exciting to see that. Yeah, so just seeing in general a lot of deals, but buyers confused, right?
Yeah.
And not surprisingly so. Let me see here. Let's see.
I mean, when you change how you do things and you're used to doing it for certain ways for so long, that's typical. I mean, it's going to happen. So
It's just yeah,
so
yeah. All right, so
here
here
are the changes.
let's get to this here. Biggest question. Biggest question, right?
Compensation.
Compensation. I mean, that's logical, right, guys? I mean, the biggest question is going to be compensation because sellers are like, yeah, if I can pay less, then let me pay less. And buyers are like, but I've never had to pay this, before. So that's definitely biggest question. Sellers, of course, are wondering what's changed, right? Like we read in that article, they're like, what's going on now? And buyers are concerned they're going to have to pay out of their pocket. Because remember, and we talked about this last week, buyers don't have to pay necessarily, but they have to own it.
They have to
commit
to make sure that the agent gets paid.
They have to commit that the agent will be paid. And the agent always, well, a good agent deserves to be paid, right? But it's not necessarily that they always had to own it, right?
In some ways, this makes this a good thing because now
Mhm.
agents have to really provide you good. They have to prove to you that they can provide good service. So
I would say, raise the bar.
We do, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If whoever you're thinking, wherever you're watching from, whatever city or state, whatever, raise the bar on that one, okay?
Mhm.
Because buyers need to show you their services. If you've got to commit to them, because like 70% or agents, I'm sorry, 70% of situations buyers have never used a buyer representation.
Services.
All right, so I missed one word.
I'm
just
sorry.
going to give me a hard time. Okay, let's see here now. So buyers are concerned they'll have to pay out of pocket. Seller buyers. Ooh, we've definitely heard this
Mhm.
one. Seller buyers are worried that they're going to end up paying for three commissions. Okay, this is a genuine concern, okay, guys, because so if they agree to disclose their commission, what they'll pay the buyer's agent, so they're already, when they're selling, if they agree to pay the buyer there, so they're paying for their listing agent, they're paying for the buyer's agent, right? Then they turn around and they buy, and they're like, I'll be danged if I'm going to pay a third commission,
That's going to definitely require a lot more negotiating.
Yeah. And I would say, again, guys, this is Dallas that we're talking about. So buyers have the upper hand and sellers.
Definitely.
Yeah. And sellers are like, they don't want to put any barrier to entry. So every seller we've called has been like, yeah, we're, it's 3% and it's disclosed. I will be very interested to see if that changes in the spring and summer. If rates go down, right, and we see more affordability, we see more buyers enter the scene. It'll be interesting to see if sellers kind of close their fists a little bit more. If it becomes more of a seller's market, they may be less willing. So I think there's something to be thinking about there. Biggest shakeup in a century set to hit real estate agents this week. Okay, this is another article about that. I like that this article tells you what the changes are. The first change prohibits agents' compensation from being included on multiple listing services. Compensation details can still be advertised elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And I know on other videos, I've been very frustrated. Oh, you know what? I forgot to add that one. I've been frustrated that several people have said, that it's forbidden for seller to pay the buyers because that's so inaccurate. Yeah. They get on there and they're like, from now on, buyers have to pay their own agents. Yeah. And I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about. It's perfectly fine for the listing agent to, or the seller or the listing agent to continue compensation. Second change requires buyers agents to discuss their compensation up front. Come August 17th, which already came and went, agents working with a prospective home buyer must now enter into a written buyer agreement before touring a property together. This agreement is designed to inform buyers that they are responsible for paying their own realtors if a seller chooses not to cover the cost. And I think that word responsible is a good one. Yeah. And that kind of falls with the idea you're also responsible for paying, for your appraisal, right? Things that as a buyer that you're
any services that you get.
Any services, yeah.
You're going to pay for services.
But knowing you don't have to be the one to pay it, you just have to be aware that that's part of your negotiation strategy, right? And again, I know we've talked about this before, but we talked about the different ways, right? Let me see here now. let me show this to you guys. And I think we talked about this briefly last week, but I do want to show you this again because I think this really makes it clear. Okay, so there's different ways. All right, this is what happened here. Okay, this is the whole cusp of the lawsuit, guys. I want you to see this. Seller wants to sell a house. Realtor says, sure, this is what I charge. And there's 2 money bags there. Okay. Seller's realtor says, hey, I'll pay the buyer's realtor this much, right? So anything that was negotiated right here. Okay. There was not really anything because this was already decided. Problem with that, guys, 7 out of 10 realtors were lazy and didn't ever review. They didn't review the commission on the MLS. So they didn't do a representation agreement. All right. Here's where everything came to play, though, is when they said, I won't show that house. Okay. So there we have what happened was sellers are like, I should have a choice in this. And what would happen since buyers were being lazy and they weren't doing the buyer's agents are being lazy. They're not explaining representation. They're not getting signed representation agreements. They're looking for their payment on the MLS. Okay. So then when they look on the MLS and the seller's paying 0, they're just going to not show that house. Okay. And so they're probably not even going to tell their buyer about it.
So there was a big deal about steering.
So that's steering, and steering is a no-no. We can't steer people away from houses. And so that's where the big part of this lawsuit was like, the seller going, look, I should have a choice, and so they're like, okay, let's take it off the MLS, right? Seller's like, hey, I should have a choice in the matter. And so that's a big part of what you see going on is the seller saying, I should have a choice. So you have this lawsuit. Right. NAR settlement. That's what that's all about, guys. So when I ask you, like, I know when I'm talking to different buyers, I say, hey, have you heard about the NAR settlement? Okay. This is exactly what I'm talking about. These changes that went into play because the seller said I should have a choice. And the buyer, okay, the buyer's realtor was saying, I won't show that house. Okay. Steering. Okay. So these are the ways that a buyer agent can be paid. And this is really important for you if you don't want to pay your agent. If you either you can't afford it, genuinely don't have it, or maybe you just would prefer.
You are already bringing a lot of cash to the business.
You're already bringing a lot of cash to the table. So this is one of the first ways, okay? And this is the way the EXP is saying they won't do anymore. It's called broker to broker. All the negotiation is done between the seller and the seller's realtor, fixed amount here. All right, seller's getting this. And he's sharing it with the buyer's agent. Now, I want to tell you guys something interesting about this is if someone says, very astute, says, I won't use a realtor, a buyer's agent, because I don't want to pay them, and they go to the listing agent, okay, if the listing agent doesn't make them sign a buyer rep agreement, it means they're not representing them, okay, and it probably means they're just going to take both pieces. Okay. They're going to take both sections of that compensation because remember, this is paid to, this is paid to the seller's realtor. If there's no buyer's realtor, okay, the seller's realtor gets the full thing. So if somebody who feels like, I don't feel like buyer agents do anything anyway, or they're just worried about that risk, it's just to the advantage of the seller's realtor because he's going to get, let's just say 6%, even though he's not representing you at all. So you could have, had representation and not come out of pocket. Seller's realtor gets paid twice. So that's, I think, an interesting thing to know. But this is called broker to broker. Next one is builder to broker. We only know of one builder who's not paying like a 3% commission, and that's Lennar.
They have some communities they are, but yeah.
Oh, are they? Oh, okay. I stand corrected. So this one too, my buyers who are like, I'm interested in new construction. I'm like, listen, every builder we've talked to is offering 3%. And when they say that, they're covering hundreds and hundreds of houses. It's not like on this one house, on just this one little house, I'm going to pay that. It's kind of like they make one decision over everything.
Right.
So literally, if you worried for whatever reason about signing a buyer representation agreement and you knew what builders you wanted to use, you could literally call every one of them and find what they're paying. Yeah. Right. So you don't have to not know what's going on there. Seller to broker. This is another way if they disclose the amount. Okay. then again, there's no surprises. You're going to know exactly before you walk in that door, you're going to know exactly what you're getting paid. Okay. Or what the buyer's agent's getting paid. Okay, there's no surprises here. And this is really what's changed. If you've heard anything about EXP, this is what's changed. Okay, instead of doing broker to broker, they're doing seller to broker. Okay, or seller instead, seller to broker.
And a lot of them are disclosing, but some of them will say, well, we want to wait and see what the offer is going to be.
Which is this one.
But yeah.
Okay, so this is the seller to broker where they won't tell you until you put in an offer. Doesn't mean they won't pay, but if you're going to offer, I don't know, 30% below their list price, they're not going to pay, they might be like, I'm not paying your agent. That's where the beauty of negotiation comes into play. And that's where the fall and winter are such beautiful times. All right. And this is what they're looking at.
Estimated net proceeds.
So this is the seller's estimated net proceeds. So when they say, let me see the offer and then I'll decide, this is what they want to see. What is their net proceeds? So over here, if you ask them to pay, 3% in broker's fees, but you don't ask for anything else, right? That affects their net proceeds. If you ask them to pay 3% for broker fees, and also you want them to pay the title policy, and you want them to pay for a home warranty, and you want them to pay the survey, and maybe you're even asking them to help pay your closing costs, the net proceeds is going to be a lot lower, right? So I hope that makes sense, everyone. That's what they're looking at. So the buyer impact there, buyer has to own it, but does not have to be the one to pay it. If they're unwilling or unable to pay the buyer's realtor, you can know in advance. Okay. So you can know in advance. Now, your buyer's agent is probably worth it if you've hired well. And just make sure you hire well, interview well. They're worth, they have a value to them, right?
They need to go through their services with you.
Make them go through their services. You can choose which properties to view. Okay. And we can negotiate commission into the offer. Okay. So that is kind of like the version of what's changed, helping you. Hopefully that helps.
Big overview.
It's that's the big picture overview. Okay. So let's take some comments and we are here. If you have any questions about this, the market being more complicated, we're here. Now's the time. Ask us some questions. We're happy to answer them. We've been watching the videos, studying the forums, taking the classes to try to understand what's going on. So absolutely hit us up in the chat, ask some questions. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Millionaire McCory says, are you hiring? I'm willing to start at a lower position and work my way up. I'd really like to learn the ropes, great with numbers, and learn quickly. I want to build generational wealth for my children. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an awesome goal. If you're a licensed agent and you want to work for us, we will hand you clients more until you tell us to stop. That's basically what we will do. Is we have so many buyers that if you come and you work for us as a licensed agent, we literally, in fact, we went through our list today and I kept saying, okay, who would like to work with this buyer? And there would be silence because our agents had already absorbed more than they can handle. And I was kind of laughing. I was like, guys, this is usually where everybody's like super excited. And they're like, my plate is full. Like you just gave me 5 or 6, I can't. So anyway, so it just depends in that regard. We are looking for an admin also, experienced admin to add to our staff. So if that's something that you're experienced with, you might want to put that, reach out to us on that. Okay, let's see here now. Next one. I am looking to buy a new construction house in Salina, Texas. Do you think I should wait till the prices go down?
New construction. So new construction. New construction doesn't necessarily go down. Prices go down in the winter time. If you're looking to build, like build it from the ground up, the prices are possibly could be higher because that's their busy time because people are trying to build to be ready to move in the summer, and be ready for school. If you're looking for inventory, it could be lower. It depends. So Salina, there's still some pretty good demand up there, but yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of growth going on.
I would say too, like you evaluate the community to see if the builder's already exposed and ready to come down on price.
Look at what the inventory is in those communities.
Look at the inventory. What has the builder been accepting? Look at sold homes. How much has the builder been willing to come down on price? If it's not aggressive enough, Remember Thanksgiving, Christmas, man, that whole November, December
Mhm.
timeframe, that's when our prices are the lowest.
If they have a lot of inventory that's going to be complete in the November, December time,
Yeah.
those could possibly be lower prices.
That's a good point. They
Probably
may,
more
yeah.
at that time, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because they're thinking nobody buys in the winter. In the dead of winter, when you walk outside and everything is gray,
But
who wants to go
yeah.
buy a house?
They try to get them complete before then. They don't,
Mhm.
because the winter is hard, offers a lot of delays for their building. So.
Mhm. All right, next question. Zillow CEO was actually speaking on this subject on MSNBC. So you're talking about you're talking about the job report, right? Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, I think I saw that a lot on social media as well. Hello.
Hey, Product.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Wait, you called him Praddock? I was kind of wondering that
Patel.
myself. I was like, how do you pronounce that? All right, let
Tend
me
to
see
say
here.
for A's.
Yes, the Fed has been lying to us about jobs, revising what a recession is. So what's next? Maybe even less buyers until it's a bit more affordable. I think that
maybe.
I think that's interesting because you have to realize that for every 1% reduction in interest rates, okay, remember this formula, keep it in mind, 1% equals 11%, okay? So 1% drop in interest rates in terms of your monthly payment is the equivalent of the price dropping 11%, okay? So if you want to see, if you're like, I want to see it just through prices, then prices have to come down versus, 1% to 11. So that's the ratio, okay? So if interest rates were to go down a full point, suddenly, or for 1%, suddenly
then your monthly cost is going to be as though you had 11% decrease in your price.
Mm-hmm. Well, and do you mean increase? Because if interest rates go down 1%, suddenly they can afford 11% higher price.
Oh, but I'm saying that they would, yeah.
Mm-hmm. With a buyer's market, I will not pay a commission. I don't blame you. I think it's perfectly right to argue that fact. And I think sellers are realizing that in Dallas. And so that's why we're still seeing them pay and it's a disclosed pay. Okay. Because
most sellers know.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. If you were looking to buy in January, when should you apply for your loan? Do you know how long it is before they have to do a second credit inquiry? Is it 90 days, 120 days?
A lot of it's 90 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Find out your buying powers, maybe 90 days.
Yeah. It's always, you can always talk to lenders. In fact, recommend talking to multiple lenders, but compare, shop their rates and stuff, shop their services, shop their fees,
And it just depends on if you're kind of, wary about having that second credit inquiry, maybe 90 days from when you want to close. But if you're kind of like, I'm not too worried about a second credit inquiry, it's not going to be a bad thing to find out your buying power now, especially if you're going to do a lot of online research. Like if you want to, if you know it's new construction, all of these builders have different floor plans. Okay. So you want to have time, but if you don't know your buying power, you could be wasting your time. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at ones over $1 million and you end up being, qualified for 800,000, then you've just wasted a lot of time. So knowing buying power from that standpoint is worth it for getting pre-approved. Let's see here now. What's the situation in Prosper, Texas, especially $1 million homes and price cuts? They're looking at you to do some research, mister.
$1 million home.
All right, the master is going to start looking that up, and I'm going to go on to the next question and then come back to it, okay? Do you have any thoughts on the Walsh community? Oh, my goodness, they're just putting you to work today. In the Fort Worth, Aledo area, do you see that staying a desirable area in the years to come? Okay, we'll come back to yours as well. But
we have been seeing growth out there in the Aledo area that way. So there's some custom builders out there with some nice communities.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is an excellent point. And also, I believe the school ratings in Aledo are high, if I recall, that they're pretty good too.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back to yours as well. Dale's going to look up Prosper, and then he's going to look up the Walsh community in the Fort Worth Aledo area. Okay. All right. I'm selling my house in Kentucky. Hello, Possum Smiles. I like that. I'm selling my house in Kentucky. I spoke to a couple of agents with a 5.7 fee. I got postcards in the mail from a couple of different agents with listings in my area and with fees between 1% to 3%. Okay, so that just depends on what they're advertising. Because remember, if it's shared broker to broker, right, then they may charge 5.7% and they're going to share that. So when they're telling you that they're charging that, you want to ask them, is this, how is that going? Are you paying solely for the listing agent, or are you paying for the listing agent and the buyer's agent? And so that could be the big discrepancy there if they're talking about only paying for themselves, and then you also, can decide. Okay, so I hope that makes sense.
So just real quick on the Prosper $1 million, there's, for active ones, there's quite a few active. This is from like $1 million to $1.5 million. There are like currently 92 listings, and they're averaging 84 days on the market. And doesn't tell me though if they've come out, how much they've. I'd have to look at each individual one to see
how much they've come down.
They're coming off, but
you
so
can look
if
at
I go
solds,
to those, I do have that on here too. I just have to go to it though.
Oh, okay.
So, and then
so he's looking up solds right now to see how much sellers have been coming down on price, but keep in mind that that's going to be a lagging indicator. So if they're coming down on price in May and June and July, that's a great thing going into the fall. If they were already coming down in the summer months, which is like your peak time. All right, while he's working on that, I'm going to go on to this next one. All right, if I signed a hey cash bonds, if I signed a buyer rep agreement for an extended period of time and there is no termination clause, how can I handle this? And how would you handle that if a buyer wanted out of their agreement? That is a good question. I would want to know why the buyer wanted out. Because if the buyer's like, I just changed my mind, I'm not going to buy. Well, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to get out of the agreement because the agreement doesn't say you have to buy. Okay. If it's another reason, not just that you don't want to buy, if there's another reason, then I would say schedule an actual appointment with them and say, this is what I'm not liking. Okay, this is what I'm not liking. I think that plenty of times that the buyer's agent doesn't intend to improve their services. They'll probably just say, okay, you're released, right? Spoke to a new lead a couple days ago where they said the same thing. I think it was a couple days, maybe 3 days, where they said the same thing. They were working with an agent. The agent wasn't providing him any market data. And they were just like, okay, and they went to the agent and said, listen, you're not providing me data here. And the agent agreed to let them out of the agreement just because they didn't want to provide the data. That was above and beyond. All right, that should be a standard thing. So I would say if you're signing a buyer representation agreement, interview well, okay? Have a high bar so that you don't run into the situation of wanting to get out, because you're right. I don't think many of them have termination clause. I know ours has like kind of a boilerplate of, mediation, and attorney's fees and things like that, but it doesn't specifically address it. So I would say interview very well, require services. Okay. I believe I just put out a video, or it's coming out soon, where I talk about exactly what you should expect from your buyer's agent. Okay.
So back up to the
all right. We're going back to Prosper.
So over the data is close to the same over the last 90 days, over 30 days. They're averaging about 97% of list price, and they're averaging about 64 days on the market. So, yeah.
So don't buy in Prosper and offer the list price.
Yeah, there are a few homes that sold pretty fast, but for the most part, they're on the market for a bit. Yeah. So, and you wanted to look at
Alito. Did you need to see that one again? This is what he had said. Do you have any thoughts on the Walsh community in the Fort Worth Alito area? So see if you can look that up.
Walsh.
The Walsh community in the Fort Worth /Alito area. So it's going to be on that west side. All right. While he's looking that up, I'm going to read another comment. All right. P, looking to buy in Plano, Frisco, Carrollton, 700 range, new construction preferable. I don't want the built with T-ply. I saw one builder that builds in zip, which is Normandy Homes. You're absolutely correct. Normandy does build with the zip. Now I was told when I called Tradition Homes and also when they sent me their contract that they also use the zip, but then someone else told me they had switched to T-ply. So I would say that Tradition Homes is a possibility, but you want to ask them and kind of find out and tell them that you're going to be watching when that house is built if you do a new build. But there are others. I have a whole spreadsheet that if you reach out to us, I can send that to you. I have a whole spreadsheet of the ones that use zip versus the ones that use the T-ply, because I keep track of that. And some kind of are in between. So some don't just use the flimsy T-ply. Sometimes they back it up with like a thick foam board. I know Grand Homes does this, and also Bloomfield. So some of them use the T-ply, some of them use zip, and then sometimes there's stuff in between. Reach out to us. Our questionnaire is in the description section. Just reach out, fill that out, reach out to us, and I can get you that spreadsheet.
So there's just
Okay.
Walsh.
Okay,
and
we're back
there's
to that one.
Walsh. There's Walsh Ranch Quail also, but
Mhm.
they're all in Aledo. There's
Mhm.
they have townhomes. There's medium-sized homes, 2,000 to 3,000 square, and then there's bigger stuff too.
I am liking what I
So-
see with the broad range. If this is all basically one community, I'm really liking what I see with the broad range of prices. That makes it a really good choice. Like, much better to buy where there's a
Mhm.
broad range of homes rather than to buy, a $300,000 home in a neighborhood filled with $300,000 homes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess so. Some of it's listed as Fort Worth. Some of it's listed
Right,
as
that's what he was saying,
Aledo.
yeah.
So
So I'm seeing prices up to, well, that one's 693, all the way up to like 816. Okay,
Yeah.
so what a fantastic range. Try to get the 300. Yeah, you said 700, so I would try to make sure that you're going where the
700,
nicer
yeah.
homes are. Okay, so you're kind of buying on the top there. Better like in that
yeah.
area. I mean, if you can be like the $300,000 or
middle
$400,000
top, yeah.
home, but you're kind of, what's the highest? Does it go up to past $1 million?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So it's showing up at past $1 million. So 700 is decent. I would try to find where within it that
like
you're
the
looking.
Artisan Series is a big one in that price range. And
I was going to say, I was
Yeah.
going to respond to this one
I
too,
didn't
where
look
he,
at what builders
sorry.
they were, but yeah.
Yeah. I was
Anyway,
going to respond to this one when he says new construction preferable. Those aren't great places to look for new construction in that price range, because Plano is kind of 1970s territory. I mean, you've just got a lot of
Oh.
pre-owned in Plano. And because you have a lot of 70s homes, you also have a lot of foundation problems. Okay. So pre-owned homes, lots of foundation problems. We know that because we've had to sell a lot.
especially
or
on the
work with buyers.
older
Yeah.
east side, but yeah, if you look more north for Plano, if you look north and west, those are the better homes and
Yeah.
newer and better neighborhoods. They were
Mhm.
the higher quality homes being
Mhm.
built at the time. So,
Yep. Frisco
let's see.
is going to
This is
have new
Frisco.
construction. Okay. But it's not going to be in the 700 range unless
Yeah.
it's like a townhome or something like that. Like their new construction is going to be $1 million plus. And then Carrollton, we're back in pre-owned home territory.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you can find new construction in Plano or Carrollton, it's usually going to be like on really tiny lots. It'll probably be townhomes or 40-foot lot lines. Okay. But in those areas, you're going to be hard pressed to find anything on a 50 by 120, right? You're just not going to find that. Okay. I love this comment. Here we go. Hilarious.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
You can read it. This is
Hey.
funny. Ran into Dale at an open house in Prosper
Cool as a
this past weekend. He was cool as a cucumber, looking sharp. He was. He really was. He told me about that. He came home and he's
Yeah.
like, well, this person I didn't know came up and said, hi, Dale. Are you Dale? So I
Yeah.
thought that was so funny. I had a good laugh about
It was
that
a nice
one.
house. A
Mhm.
good listing agent there too. He did a good job.
Yep.
He was-
I'm
It
over
was
here
very
like,
sharp.
I'm making all these videos, but you're the one that gets the fame. I mean, I'm like, what am I? I was like, but I guess because he's out there. So hello again from him. He thought that was great.
That was
So
fun.
good stuff. Good stuff. Okay.
Good to meet people.
Yes, it is. And you did say that was a good sales consultant.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh, actually, I was a
no.
listing agent.
Oh, the good listing agent. Okay,
Yeah.
because it was pre-owned.
It was
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So P, you said on your radar. So no new, and you're referring back to this one. So you're gonna have a hard time. Those are not great locations for new construction.
Not
And
in
then
700 range.
not in the
Yep.
700 range. And then though about the T-ply, if you can fill out the questionnaire, reach out to me. I will provide that to you. I will email that to you. And also I think the email address is also on the description, and you can send it to that. And we can also, that might be an easier way if you're not looking, to buy, but if you are looking to buy, questionnaire is the way to get the whole show started. Okay, let's see here now.
Did we miss-
This is a good one. Let's see. You said on your
right there,
radar,
Ruben.
this
Ruben.
one. Ruben. Hi, Ruben.
What do you know about the housing market? And Anna?
Uh-huh.
Anna,
What do you know
people-
about the housing market in Anna looking to
People
buy
don't
there?
Like Anna. I don't know. It's a nice area, but
Anna, they don't have great schools. So that's
Yeah.
one thing you need to know. And they're sandwiched between two good schools. Okay, so you've got Melissa to the south and Van Alstyne to the north. What's going on with Anna that they can't have better school districts? I don't know, because they're surrounded right there by, these nicer higher rated schools. So I do know that it's more affordable than Melissa. We've definitely seen like there's some accessibility. That's a lower range for if depending on your budget. So more affordable, not the best of schools. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, it's a pretty area up there. It was a lot of ranch area and farm area previously, and it looks like they're ranging. They got quite a range of prices too, though. Sure, a lot of that. Of course, the bigger ones are definitely more bigger lots.
It's a way you can get acreage
it's up
there.
So the typical lots are up to around the mid 6 to just under 700, and then everything else is bigger lots. It's closer to $1 million or
What's
more.
can you look up trends? What's the median sales price in Anna? You have trends open there. Okay, so median sales price in terms of like what's in the middle. Median sales price. You got to go down to sales price there.
Yep, and
not a lot of activity. 560,000 median sales price in Anna, down 5.9%. So if you were buying in the 300,000 or 400,000 range, you'd be below that. I always like it when you can be below the median sales price, right? Because then there's nicer around you. Okay, this is a great question. How do we find assumable loan properties? Would buyer's agent know about them via MLS? Can anyone take over assumable loan, or do they need to be independently qualifying for VA or FHA loans? Lots of good questions there, and we have answers for all of it. Okay, check out the website withrome.com. Okay, withrome.com. In fact, you keep talking. I'm going to look that up and show them. All right.
Yeah, so you do have to. It is for VA and FHA loans only, and most I do. I mean, if buyers are interested, I do ask agents. Sometimes they advertise it on MLS that they're assumable. You do have to qualify. You have to qualify with that lender, that existing lender that the home is sold for, with, and then you also have to have enough cash to cover the difference between the payoff on that loan and the sales price. You have to have that too. And if it's VA, you can assume a VA loan and not be a veteran and not have VA what's the word I'm looking for, credits or whatever. But that seller has to be willing to give up their VA. They won't be able to use their VA again until that loan is paid off.
So most veterans are like, no, if you're not a veteran, I'm not going to let you assume it. I don't know if you can see this.
It does
okay.
tend to take longer too, because there's a longer process for going through all that. So I've heard some of them have moved fast, but I've heard as long as 4 months and stuff on some. So
So check out this website withrome.com. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's an excellent resource, and it will tell you all these homes. Now I looked up Salina, right? And you can see on here all of these homes, and look at that. They have the monthly payment. They'll have the interest rate. Okay. So that's withrome.com, WITH Rome, ROAM. In terms of your question of can the buyer's agent know about them via MLS? There is research that you can do. Okay, it's possible. You can look at, and I'll tell you the way we do it. Okay, with Rome is way easier, but the way we do it, it's been a bit since I've done it too. All right, you take over. Let me look it up. I'm going to show them. Start talking, man. I'm going to show you guys how this works.
Well, I mean, it's always great to talk with when I have buyers that are interested in that, I always talk with the listing agent anyway. I want to ask them and stuff. I want to get more detail. We'll look it up ourselves this way, but I want to talk to the listing agent as well, because the buyers are going to know. And then sometimes we can get the information from that mortgage company, from the lender, if they let us know who that is. So depending on how really interested you are. If you're really thinking about doing an offer, then yeah, definitely.
All right, let me
do that.
Let me show you. I'm just going to pick one at random because I want to show you the process for looking at it. Okay, so all right, let's see here now. Let me switch over to sharing this tab instead. Let me see if that works. That work? Okay, maybe not yet. Let me see. Did it work? Yes, looks like it worked. Okay, so what I would do is, I'm going to check out a home here. I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to go up here to history.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let me choose a single family home. Let's go ahead and do that. Single family. Let's go with that. Pop over here. All right, so let's just say I've got a single family home here, and I'm going to look at history. Okay. And I'm going to look on here. I'm going to see the last time it was purchased. Okay, so the last time it was purchased, this one was canceled. Or I can look at mortgage history. That's another way as well to find out. Now, this one's not helping me out much because it doesn't show me a sold. So let me go to another one and see if I can find one that shows it. Okay, so here we have a closed. Okay, so I'm going to click on the last one. We're back on a duplex. And I'm going to look down here at the bottom, and I'm going to see buyer financing. Okay, so right down here, you can see buyer financing is cash. Okay, so that's the way that I can tell whether or not it's assumable through the MLS, right? So, but you can see
possibly,
if it's possibly assumable, right, is by going to the past sale and seeing what it was purchased with. So I hope that makes sense. If you're like working with an agent and you need to teach them how to do it, that's how you can do it. Go to the history, look at what's the last time it sold, and see if that person bought with an FHA or a VA. They're both qualifying, like Dale said. VA is harder. FHA is more golden. Okay. All right. Did that answer all of that? Can anyone take over an assumable loan? No, you have to qualify. Okay. Let's see. Next question. We're going to put the master to work again. Looking to buy in the fields. Pricing has been coming down on inventory homes, but are prices there reaching their floor soon? Inventory is steadily decreasing. Okay, Dale's going to take a quick look, but I can tell you typically we're going to see prices continue to go down through like November. Okay, is usually when, to the extent that you have that time, that flexibility. He's going to look it up and kind of see what's going on there. All right. Okay, Millionaire McCoy, admin as in someone who keeps track of things, answers questions for people, etc. Yes, all of those things and more.
And more.
The posting is on Indeed, and if you send me an email, I can share that with you. All right, Rabu says thank you. Okay, you're welcome. I'm going to have to go backwards to see what you're thanking me for. Yes, you were asking about the situation in Prosper. You are welcome. I hope that was helpful on what we told you. Okay.
So fields.
If I get my realtor's license, can I be trained by the best, as in you two? I live in Dallas and I know all surrounding areas due to years driving for work, great customer service. Yes. And answer your question, yes, we have trained in. We just finished, not finished, because I don't think you ever really finish, but training. We've been training one right now. And a new agent is kind of like, for us, it's kind of like you're filling in a blank slate. And so to that degree, it can be a good thing versus someone who's like, well, my other brokerage always did it this way. Why are you asking me to do it this way? So for example, they might be like, well, my other brokerage never made me do research like this. My other brokerage never made me do market analysis, but we can take in and say, no, this is the service we provide and you're going to do it. Like this is how you do it. So yes, like I said, we have whole lists of active buyers that we're meeting their needs, but we're busy enough that we would really love some help. Okay, let's see here now. Humpty Dumpty.
I'm going to go to the fields real quick.
Okay, I'm going to go back up to the fields. All right.
Daniel.
All right, Daniel.
Let me see. Looking to buy in the fields, pricing is coming down on inventory homes, but prices.
Our prices, they're reaching their floor.
Soon. It's hard to say. And right now, looks like they're pretty much staying at their asking price. They're at 99%. This is over the last 90 days. So, and it's ranged from, closed. It's ranged from in the 700s up to just over 2 million. So most of them are in the millions. So.
When I look at the days on the market, I'm seeing a lot of 0 days on the market. So that tells me we've got a high demand area. I'm seeing some that are on the market longer, but I'm seeing like, zero, 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 zero,
This is going to be quite an amazing community.
Right. So I would say,
you're going to be part of the whole PGA setup there. And
the
everything.
lagging sales,
Location is amazing. Yeah.
The lagging sales are showing that most are accepted close to list price and they're going pretty fast. So I would say hold out, see what happens. I would say
I haven't talked to them up there in a bit. It's been a few months. So it was like back in the springtime. I was talking to.
Okay. Next question. Did I miss any? I don't think so. Okay. Welsh is a 7,200 acre community with homes from the 390s. You're right, to 2.5 million. That's exactly what Dale found.
It's a big
UTA is building a new campus there. It's quite a bit out there. Yeah. So anytime you're going to be near, it is out there. It is out there.
Nice.
You're going to find anytime you're near a college campus, you're going to find a higher ratio of renters versus owner occupants. Kind of makes sense, closer to the school. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. Okay, good question. Thank you, Pascard. Can anyone assume an FHA loan, or do you have to make below a certain salary? No, anyone can assume it.
Yeah.
But when I say that, anyone can apply to qualify for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not about a minimum salary or
right. It's not anything like that. It's not anything like that. But this is something you need to be aware of. Whenever you buy a pre-owned home, you have to get a pre-approval letter, right? The seller's like, I'm not even looking at your offer without a pre-approval letter. Okay, it's not that way with assumables, okay? Because you cannot even apply with that lender until after you're under contract, right? Because you have to get their contact information. So even though you're trying to get an assumable, you want to get pre-approved with the lender first, okay? Because there's money that goes into that. You can get your earnest money back, but you just dropped option fee money and you just dropped inspection money, and then you find out you're not qualified. The other thing is expect the pre-approval process for the assumable to be fairly strict, because do they really want to hang on to a 3% loan when going rates are 6.5? Not really. And so they're going to be have strict. So definitely anyone, it's not limited by salary requirements, but you definitely want to make sure you get pre-approved first. Okay. Forgot to mention, you are my best. I watched most of your videos. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for the recognition, because he goes to open houses and people are like, Dale, is that you? I was like, what am I, chopped liver?
I'll go to open houses then.
All right. I know. I don't go to open houses. I'm busy making videos. Okay. How do USDA loans differ from FHA? They differ by the location restrictions. Okay. Location restrictions.
And they do have USDA loans do have a salary limit or whatever. You cannot make over so much, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. I might need to check that for.
He's going to look it up to be sure.
Or I might be thinking of the other.
Yeah, because I know that USDA, it's 100% financing, but it has to meet within their geographical boundaries. And right there on their website, you can look up and see, you can enter an address and it'll say, yes, it's USDA area, or no, it's not. But the cool thing is no down payment, right? We've closed them before. They weren't any more complicated. They really weren't any more lengthy in the pre-approval process. Not like, Dale was saying, assumables can take a while, right? It's not like that with USDA, but it definitely is like limited geographically. So you must kind of have that in mind.
You must make less than 15% above the average income for the area.
Okay. So smart guy knew.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, that's our last comment, and it has been a pleasure.
It's been awesome talking to you guys.
Relaxing with all of you guys tonight. Love it. We will see you again next week. Hope you have a good one. We're going to go have some dinner.
Maybe if you're out there, we'll see it at an open house.
Make them feel famous again. All right. Talk to you guys again later. Bye.